Gina is a board certified clinical nutritionist, founder of the LG Institute of Health, and the creator of the Women's Series, an accredited postgraduate series that is interdisciplinary and serves to better educate doctors on up-to-date information and clinical treatments for all aspects of women's health. In her spare time, she is the mother of 4 young children and 2 canine kids. She's a wife, an Uber driver, a cook, a coach, a champion of women, and doing her best, like all of us, to successfully prioritize and live in better harmony for herself. So Gina, welcome back to the Women's Forum. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Nice to see you guys again. I have been talking to people for 17 years about trying to eat better and solve problems that have trashed their health. And I know that in some of the paragraphs that I had put together and then Nancy sort of sent out, she totally softened my edge, which while I appreciate, I'm going to tell you that we have probably 30 minutes, right? Because we're going to 8:40. Is that our cutoff time? Right. So we have 30 minutes. And if there's anything that I have learned by treating patients is that the more gentle I am and the fluffier I am, it doesn't get done and you don't get better. So we have 30 minutes to pull off the gloves, get down to work, get you something, and I promise you have something to take away to help yourself. I know the women that are on this call are high achieving women, right? They're probably type A, if not A plus, if not A plus plus. And some of you freaked out that I didn't give you 3 pluses. So, right, we're going for everything all the time. We want to manage all the things all the time. And while this can be wonderful in so many ways, like we're the people that get stuff done, at the same time, we're always at risk for saying yes to too much. And we take on too much. And sometimes because we really are truly trying to help. And we're like, okay, yeah, I can do that. I'll help out. Sometimes because we look around and we're like, ugh, nobody else is going to do it. Fine, I'll do it. And both lead to us taking it on in the end. So I love little memes like this, right? Why I'd be delighted to put my needs last again. Because I feel like they really skewer everything. It's funny, it's cute, it's also kind of achingly painful. And it's like, ugh, haha, ouch. Because this is where a lot of us live, is suddenly figuring that we're juggling all the things. You know, whether it is the workload and the house load, if we look nationwide, if not globally, but we'll stick with nationwide. Nationwide, women are carrying the brunt of the load. We have the kid care, we have the school calendars, we have the sports calendars, we have the laundry, we have the food arranging, whether it's the buying of the food, the making of the food, asking who ate some food, why didn't you eat some food, who left this food out, right? All the things that go with all those little pieces. I know currently in my house, my sink is full of water because somebody, my 13-year-old daughter, was trying to make rice water because she heard it was a cool recipe for something, and then moved on, dumped all the rice down the drain. It turns out you cannot put rice down a disposal in large amounts without flushing it right away. She didn't. So 4 hours later, I got this phone call that was like, Mom, something's not working. And I think something happened. And of course, I tried working on it yesterday and then I got sidetracked and then it all gelled. So I'll either be plumbing later or I'll become a plumber. I'm also the house plumber. I'm also a very good plumber. So we take on all these tasks. And you know, on some level, again, we sort of did it to ourselves. On some level, there is no other option. And so we end up balancing all of these things in the house and the living areas. And then you take your job. And what are you balancing at work? For me, it's patient care, patient appointments, following up on labs, making sure I ordered the right labs, deciding which patient needs which lab, which one's accessible to them. If they're going to use their insurance, maybe I might choose a different company knowing they're going to get better coverage over there. How do I get them the information that they need? How do I then explain what's going on and then get them on a plan and reassess from there? So I very much always feel like my work life very much mirrors my home life. I'm constantly checking up on people and telling them what to do and asking, why didn't they do it when I said so, right? A lot of that going on. So it still has me bouncing. And regardless of the types of jobs you have out there, this is a lot of what's going on, right? Then we had a pandemic, and all the pandemic served to do was to take all of it and throw it back on women. If at least you could get something done when your kids were at school, guess what? They're not at school. If perhaps you were relying on daycare, well, guess what? That's not happening. If you were sending somebody off to college, they either didn't go. So I'm going to launch this kid out into the atmosphere, didn't happen, and they came back home. Or they went, and some of them had really, some of the stories I heard, they were really awful first years of college, staying in their dorm, not able to go out, and it just, all the things that we thought, okay, I'm going to make these changes and go, didn't happen. I know for me, I had a couple of different career jumps I was going to make, a big couple of different changes I was going to make. I had things lined up, and I was like, as soon as my youngest one goes off to kindergarten, they will all be in school for the whole day. I will be doing this during the day. And then instead of the last one going out the door, all four of them came to the table. And there we sat. Also, I have 4 kids and we have 5 recorders. So there was also that. So one is boundaries. And this is a really good point because all stress, anxiety, depression is caused when we ignore who we are and start living to please others. This is where we go into as being people pleasers and high achievers and trying to help out. And this is where it makes the break for me in my professional life because it actually causes health issues. When we talk about stress, it's all too often that people think it's sort of fluffy, like, oh, I'm so stressed out, I'm so burnt out. And we use those phrases. I know if you haven't said them, you've heard them, but they do make legitimate changes in our health. Ask any cardiologist if stress kills, and they will say yes, right? Far too often, it's just out there in like our little vernacular as like, oh, stress is bad. I know, I'm so stressed out. But when it really comes down to it, you are having bodily changes. You are having hormone changes. Things are changing in your body and you can get sick. You can then need care. Well, we just established that you are the person balancing all the things. So if you go down, guess what? The whole house of cards is coming down too. So we have to do something aggressive. And this is why I said Nancy's note was fluffy, but mine is not. Mine is you better step up and make some changes and you tell everybody to back off. And I don't care what lies you tell to get there. You want to say your doctor said you have to do this thing and you made it up? I will stand behind you and say, yeah, I probably said that. Probably wrote a super note on that. Want a gym class note for your life so that you can go do something and get to the gym? I will write you a note, right? So we have to really take heed. And I know that you guys at CAP Strategies have done some classes on boundaries and stuff. So I know you guys have some different classes that are out there addressing it. They're so important. And they're not just important in terms of the social, I don't like the way you talk to me and I'm finally going to speak up about it. Of course, that's important. But sometimes boundaries is carving out pieces of our life so that we can live and thrive. And the others around us, they can't live and thrive if we're going down. Okay. I love this little meme. I know it comes up with like 1,000 different phrases on it. I just think it was like, I don't know. I think we've all sat in this chair a lot of different times in our lives, whether it's in a career time, whether it's in a lifetime, whether it's in like, grad school and you've got finals. I just feel like there's probably, all of you here can probably think of 3 different times in your life when you were just like, things are great, they're okay. And you're like, actually, everything's on fire. Everything's a disaster. But here I sit, I'm still here. And so here I am. And, a lot of times it's like the things that you think should kill you haven't. So you just sort of continue on because you're like, I don't really know what else to do, but I woke up again. So here we go. So when we have this, sometimes what happens is that we get used to this high stress. We get used to balancing all the home things. We get used to putting ourselves last. We get used to trading ourselves out for somebody else. No, that's fine. I'll pick you up. I'll skip the gym. No, that's fine. I'll just order this instead. I'll skip that. No, that's fine. I'll take this on. I'll have it done by tomorrow. And when we do that, we make those trades and we are getting stressed out and burnt out. We don't have healthy baselines. We aren't coming from a healthy spot and offering. Instead, we're just digging a hole and digging a hole and digging a hole. So here's a test. This is just I put a few little labs up here to show the connection that when we don't prioritize ourselves and when we don't make these changes and we don't make them happen, guess what? Your health does change. So this is a cortisol test. It's actually a salivary test. Somebody spits in a tube over different times of the day, as you can see over here. This particular person is in her mid-40s. She has 3 younger kids, and she is a nurse. And this was in the middle of the pandemic when she was in the nursing hell that was out there. Okay. And she came in and she said, I'm tired. I know it makes sense that I'm tired. I'm burnt out. I know it makes sense, but also I don't know how to get out of it. Like, this is happening at the hospital. My kids are all at home. So if I'm at home, I can't rest because they're there. Plus we're doing some other schoolwork. The daycare kicked my littlest one out. I feel like I can't sleep at night. So I'm awake all night, but I'm exhausted. I want to go work out because it always makes me feel better. But then when I do, I'm more exhausted. And it was just this struggle all over the place. So when I took this test on her, it wasn't, am I going to find out if she's burnt out? No, I have my answer. I know. What I want to know is her baseline. Where are we starting? Where can I step in and help her? And where will we measure in 3 to 6 months to see, are we making improvements? This is just literally like, let's throw a dart and see where we land today, and then we'll start from there. Okay. So when it came back, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, it's such a bad test. Of course it is. I already knew her story, but it does give me markers to begin at. So she should be here somewhere in the green. The greens are the normals. We should wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed with our cortisol just pumping like, oh, it's so great, it's morning, all the stuff I'm going to do. And then it does naturally go, oops, where's my little person? It does naturally go down as the day goes on, levels out a little bit, and then it goes down again. That's a normal curve. If you look, she barely even hits the curve. She like bumped into it once it knew, accidentally made some cortisol it knew, right? So her report of like, I can't even get my life together, absolutely represented here. This is what stress does. This is what long-term stress does. It changes your hormones and your body's ability to function. Here, vitamin D. Vitamin D up here, this is tricky because we live in Chicagoland. Most of us on this call, I think, I'm not sure, but anybody at a high latitude, we don't get adequate vitamin D from October to May. And then we have lots of folks, and even though those of you down in Florida, who don't get adequate vitamin D during the summer either. Now, either you're not outside enough, or you have other things going on in your body, stressing you out, wearing you down, that it doesn't matter that you spent time in the sun. It doesn't matter that you were trying to do things. You couldn't catch up. We dig the holes too deep sometimes. And simply having the 5 to 15 minutes in the sun as recommended, they don't cut it. They don't fix, they don't help. Vitamin D is not a vitamin. It's a neuroendocrine hormone. It has a lot to do with bone health and hormone health and anti-cancer and immune health. It has far-reaching capabilities. So we don't want it to be low whatsoever. We want to make sure we can address this. Long-term stress and burnout, I will see labs like this. This person's a 17. 30 is the bare minimum. I would really like them at 50, right? So they are way, way out of the range. Here's a stool test. Everybody likes this. They all like to have their poop tested, of course. I'm kidding, but long-term stress gives people GI disruption. They can have constipation. They can have bloating. They can have frequent loose stool. They can have stomach pain. They can simply have the feeling of when I eat, I just feel like I don't break stuff down. It just seems to sit in my stomach all the time. Or they pass food. They have a salad, and then in the toilet later, they can see bits of carrot and kale, and they're like, there it is. There's my salad. All of those things can happen from long-term stress, because when we change our hormones and we change those cortisol signals, we change what's happening in the body, we also can often decrease the intensity of our stomach acid. It becomes too neutral. So then we are not singeing off bacteria as it comes into the stomach. We are not accurately digesting and cueing those enzymes, the pancreas and the liver to have the bile to really, they work in a very tight pH window. And so if we don't have that pH going on, then our digestion sort of falls apart. Different types of bacteria can grow, different types of fungus can grow. We aren't breaking down the foods we're eating. We can have people raising their own organic vegetables and eating them and getting almost none of the nutrition. It's not for lack of effort, but the system has broken down. And this is why I'm so aggressive with people changing their priorities, because it's not just like, oh, I hope you have a nice little morning and it'll be cute. It's like, this is going to trash you. You're going to feel awful, and it's going to be expensive and timely to fix. This is not an overnight fix. This is a long time and there's a quote out there that I'm not going to rip out fast enough, but pretty much it's like, if you don't attend to your health now, you're going to have to attend to it later. And it's more or less like, do the small caretaking things for yourself now. Otherwise, you're going to pay a really big price down the road. And the price can either be a financial price. You may need a lot of healthcare and a lot of things to fix you, and it's flat out cash money that you have to spend, or a lot of time. And then you're saying, oh, I haven't been able to do my normal gym workout with my friends because I'm still recovering, or I got injured, or I have this other thing. And all of a sudden you had to give up a chunk of your time and your life and your value to recover from what happened. Athletes, and I say this as a broad spectrum athlete, whether you're someone that likes to run 5Ks or do jazzercise or anything else, we know people are having breakdown when they start having injuries that don't match their sport. We have runners coming in with a shoulder injury that's so painful they can't run. How did they hurt their shoulder? They're a runner. It makes no sense. That's because inside the tissues are breaking down, and we're having overuse injuries in areas that don't make sense. And then we just know, listen, we pretty much have to bench you for a while and get you to recover. And when we send you back out to your life, new rules to how you're going out there, because you just wore yourself into the ground, quite literally. Okay. This, just so you know what you're looking at here, when we do a stool test, this is just one portion, and it's the bacteria that's growing in the gut. We want everything over here to be in high numbers. This is a no growth, which means that this particular good bacteria just didn't even show up for work. It's just not coming. And commensal, these are not necessarily bad bacteria, but there's way too many strains and way too many high numbers, and they are throwing off the health of the gut. Always remember that your immune system is based in your gut, and the bacteria that are in there, the good bacteria, they promote proper gene expression of neurotransmitters. So when we have other things there that are in the way, we then are sending different gene signaling, and this is going to alter how much dopamine you make, how much serotonin you make, how much histamine you make, how much GABA you make. You think you're anxious or depressed, you might be, but is it because of things that are happening in your stressful world? Or is your gut so disrupted that you're kicking off neurotransmitters in such a crazy way that the result is that you feel more anxious or depressed than you should? And it's actually this gene expression that's gone haywire. Okay. Okay. So these are mitochondria. These are my favorite little buddies. They are the powerhouse of the cell. And this is a really common COVID long haul issue too, is that our mitochondria are damaged. We feel tired. We feel exhausted. Nothing seems to be working. We can't fix ourselves. And then what does society say? You just need a detox or a 3-day reset, or maybe an adorable candle, or go sit in the tub, right? And nothing sets my hair on fire more than this garbage, because you just burnt yourself into the ground over 25 years of hard labor and balancing the world. And a 3-day tea is what you get? I mean, come on. I just want to throw them at people's heads. But this is not going to do it. Now, if you like to drink tea, have at it. If this thing is tasty to you, fine. If it brings you joy, fine. But if you think it's going to undo 25 years of work and destruction, it does not. I'm offended when people tell me self-care is to sit in the tub with a candle. Really? You know what would be great? Make me dinner and send it over. Volunteer to drive my kids around. Stop asking me to do projects for free that are going to take me 6 weeks. No. I don't want tea and I don't want a candle, and I'm not going to sit in a tub while all hell breaks loose in my house because I'm resting in the tub. Absurd. It's insulting to women. Now, if you're like, you know what? I can really reset my day. If at the end of the night, I soak in the tub, that's where I just find some peace. Well, you've chosen that, and that works for you. So absolutely, you get it. But don't let someone else tell you like, oh, I bought you a candle and a little bottle of wine. I know you've been stressed. Help me. Or stop being a pain in the ass, right? Either way is good. Either launch in and give, or just stop being awful. Both are valued. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a list. I'm a list maker. You want to make a brainstorm thing, whatever you do it. Side A or page A, these are the things that you want. And I mean, really want. A personal goal that you really would like to achieve. You want to hike something, you want to read something, you want to see something, you want to travel, you want to meet somebody, whatever. Things that are like, gosh, this is a piece of me that makes me me. I like it. You put it over there. Professional goals. I'd like to reach this, try this, achieve this, sell this, build this. I don't care what it is. Okay. Or maybe it's, I want to back out. My professional goal is to step back a little bit. I've been going. My professional goal is to be part-time and to shave a little off the edges. I don't care what your goal is. It's yours. Maybe a fun recipe, whatever else. Side B are the things that just don't fit anymore. And they might be things that you really had your heart set on, and then you suddenly realize it's not going to work. Maybe the pandemic messed it up. Maybe it changed your job and that old goal isn't really attainable anymore. Maybe you were going to get a degree and you realize it's kind of a waste of money by the time I get a loan, and really it's just not going to add the value I once thought it did. Don't be afraid to sort of rip things up and put them on this page as like, it just doesn't fit. I thought I loved this style of jeans. I actually don't. Okay, fine. Put them over there. Names of people that aren't healthy for you. I keep interacting with this person and then I spend the day angry the rest of the day. Put their name over there, right? Anything that doesn't bring you happiness or anything else. And it's okay to just outgrow your own self. Put things that you've just outgrown. And then you burn it. Absolutely. Whether it's figurative or literally, and you actually want to light it on fire, go ahead. There is great energy released by just deciding you have cleansed off something. You have gotten rid of it. I'm not spending time with you because I've decided not to. I've moved on. I'm not going to worry about should I or should I not apply to law school this year because I'm not going to, or you put it on your absolute wish list. You make or break. Let's set our sights on stuff that really need full-time energy, all systems go, and stuff that's just kind of nagging. Get rid of it. Okay? Here's my personal priority. I give this to you as a how I think. These are not things that you need to do. When you make a priority list, you don't consult with anybody. You don't sit with a buddy. You don't chat with a friend. You don't call a family member or a spouse about, let's make my priorities. These have to come from you and you only. Okay? Me, I like to work out in the morning. I like to get there at 6. I like to work out. This is how I set my day. I don't talk to anybody before I leave the house. If you're there, I ignore you and I exit. You don't need anything from me right now. This is my time. Goodbye. I like to go to the gym for weights and I chat with my gym friends, or I love to run outside if I really need solitude and just some fresh air and just some quiet time. Those are both things that speak to me and work for me. They give to me. If I make that time for me, I am happy to share my day with everybody else, right? The way that my life is arranged right now is that if I don't take that time, it won't happen again. It's not going to come up midday. It's not going to come up in the evening. We're running all over the place. Now or never. After that, my priority is family. What do my kids need? What's going on? For a long time, I had sitters and babysitters and extra help. Right now, we don't have any of that because most of them are in school. So I put them to the top. I'm not going to ask someone else to help out. That's me next. Next, paid work. You want to call that right away for me? You're paying me. You don't want to pay me? You're going to wait in line. End of story, right? You'd like to ask me a question or pick my brain? That's great. I often enjoy that. But you're after the other things. You're not going to interrupt my workout, what I need to do with my kids, or my actual work to pick my brain. You'll pick my brain on my time when I say it's okay to pick my brain, and maybe I say no. Okay? Volunteering and extra work, again, that has to come from like you want to. The volunteer people, man, they're intense, right? You want to volunteer for this, we need a little help over here. The community needs this, the fundraising needs this. Like there's needs all over. If it speaks to you and you feel value doing it, go ahead. If it just makes you resentful and you're like, God, these people can't get their act together, don't do it. Right? Don't do it. They'll find another sucker. Don't worry. Just duck and let it pass right over your head. Okay? And learn when to cut a corner. We have too much going on. We're all balancing too much. Learn to cut a corner. Foods. It's so great. And I could spend 17 hours telling you all about foods and how food can be medicine and we can heal ourselves with food. But in the, cut fast, you try to shop. So there's food in the house. You try to make lists. So you actually buy the things you shop for, saves time and money. Seek out recipes. Again, when you seek out a recipe and make a list and shop for it, saves time and money. Use those leftovers. Eat them. Saves money. Right? And then if it all hits the fan, order out. It's okay. Order out and start again tomorrow. Don't be afraid to start again tomorrow. Or have a subscription order. Whether that is like a HelloFresh kit that comes to your house, or whether you have, there's a lot of private chefs right now that are just doing small home cooking type things. And you can just get small made meals, maybe 3 a week, maybe 5 a week, whatever it is. How do you cut the corner to keep yourself healthy and not lose a bunch of time on it? Right? I will say, you guys stress me out a little bit at the beginning when you're worrying about your potato chips and cookies. I wouldn't worry about it. I would build in for nutrition. I would build in for the best and shed the rest. Life's too short. I am professionally telling you, move on. Exercise. What do you like? Do you like noise or quiet? Do you need motivation? Do you like to be in a group? Do you like to be by yourself? Do you like to move a certain way? Dance, lifting, cardio? Do you prefer a sport? Do you like to work on rock climbing? Give yourself a few seconds of like, what do I like to do so I could dial in? Listen, I don't like those bar classes, daily method, bar, all those things. I know people that love them. So they go all the time. That's wonderful. That's their choice. I hate them. They drive me crazy. I'm angry in the class. It's not for me. It doesn't matter. So what? If you like cycling, do it. If you just like to be alone, you're like, I like to work out at home. I don't want to go anywhere. I like to work out in my house. I have lots of friends that do that. It doesn't matter what the answer is. It has to work for you. If you're having trouble scheduling this in, right, I would say schedule it into the week. I find that very helpful to say, okay, here's my workout times. You put them in. It's not that they can't shift, but if you put 4 days in, you're probably going to at least hit 2. And 2 is better than 0. So maybe you start with 2 a week, something very tangible. And then if a piece opens up, great. Maybe you just go for a walk. You put a podcast in. Maybe you have a meeting that you can take while walking. There's a lot of meetings. I mean, this one's perfect. You could be out walking right now. You don't need to talk to me. All you need to do is hear me yap at you, right? You could check your phone now and again to look at your little slide. You could ignore my slides and just listen to me. You could be walking right now. You can walk throughout your house. You can walk up and down the stairs. You don't even have to go outside if the weather's bad, right? Any little bit that's just like I moved a little bit, it all counts. I'm okay with running strollers, throwing your kids at the park and working out while they're there, hiring a sitter because you just need to freaking get out and go do something. Bribing kids, fine. A little screen time for them while you move. They will run later. It's easier. They have more activities. Okay. Sleep is impossible for a lot of us. So first, I would actually start down here. Focus on resting, not just sleep. When people really start to focus on how many hours of sleep am I getting, and I got to get to bed by a certain time, they start to add up hours and freak out. And then they watch the clock and, oh my God, 7 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours. And then that just leads to panic. So instead, I want you to put on this idea of I need rest. If I fall asleep during that time, that would be wonderful, but I definitely need to be resting. You make a bedtime, it has to work for you. If you're a night owl, honor that. You're a morning person, honor that. I don't care. It's your pattern. And then you repeat it. Your body and your hormones will match your pattern. Don't watch late night news. The news is a horror show at all times, first of all. Secondly, late at night, it's going to jack your cortisol up because it is horrifying, right? Late night is not the time. Reading is great. Magazine, you've got a book, you like to look at, maybe some like house decoration stuff, something that's just sort of mindless and nice, and something you wouldn't give yourself the rest of the day. I love to read. I won't read in the middle of the day because, oh my gosh, there's all this other stuff I have to get done and I have deadlines, right? But at night, I should be reading. I should not be working at a deadline from my bed. I should be reading or sleeping. So sometimes that's a nice window for people to carve out because you should not be working from there. So read instead. This is where the tea could go. I don't want it to be detox tea, of course, but if you like tea, again, it can be a calming ritual, a warm beverage, lots of herbal teas that don't have caffeine that are just, pleasant. That's fine, right? Following our sleep hygiene patterns, doing it again every night. I always wash my face and then I brush my teeth and then I do this. And when you repeat those, your body will cue melatonin to help you fall asleep because you're sending the same signals. Oh, we're brushing our teeth. Oh, and we're washing our face. Oh, we just put our pajamas on. We're picking up our book. Your brain's going to start to get drowsy already because you have cued melatonin. Okay. Again, rest if not sleep. Turn off the lights, lay there. And if you're like, I'm not sleeping, that's okay. You are resting. It is dark. It is still helpful compared to you on the go, right? Eventually you can help yourself learn to sleep, right? Or maybe before you go to bed, you do an evening walk, or like we talked about, a walking meditation. Meditation is wonderful. Lots of research behind it. There's plenty of us, me included. I cannot meditate. I will sit and then I will be making my grocery list. And then I will find myself folding laundry in the basement. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I was meditating, right? Lost. Totally just cannot do it. And I know there's lots of people who do the same thing. I don't know. I've tried all those apps and sure enough, like I listen to them and then I start doing stuff and I'm like, oh, this is a really nice thing this guy is telling me as I'm repainting my closet, right? So, all right. But movement works for me. And so this might work for you. I think we've all become a little ADD over the past 10 years anyhow. You might need a walking meditation. And this is where you might walk in your house up and down a hallway. You might go outside just around the same block. There's no destination. There's nothing exciting to see. The focus is not on what's out. You just give yourself time to calmly think. Maybe you listen to an app. Maybe you don't. Maybe you pick music. Maybe you don't. But you just sort of do this slow pace of just round and round and spend 10 minutes just moving. I'm giving myself 10 minutes of just a brain break. And if movement helps, a lot of times movement will help put us in that little pattern of like, if I'm moving, I can sort of focus what I'm doing. Okay. Which again, I know more of you out there match me than don't. So this is our how to heal plan, right? And apologize for the harsh words, but nonetheless, if you don't really make space for yourself, then I will see you as a patient and we will meet again. Right. And I say this to people all the time, only half joking, because sure enough, then I get phone calls and they're like, actually, something you said resonated. Actually, I'm like, I know. This is what happens when we burn people out. And I'm not saying men never have it, but this is a women's group. I see a lot of women and I see a lot of burnt out women. And a very, very common story that I hear from women is I used to be able to pull all-nighters and do all the things. And I used to be able to take on extra work and I could take my kids extra and I could stay up late and do things and I could take on the extra project and I excelled. And all of a sudden, I can't. I can't stay up. I find myself asleep on the couch. I'm not getting my work done. And I know that they have that deep well of just willpower to begin with, and they fired through everything. And if they had to stay up for 3 nights straight and do the work and get it all done, they got it done. But eventually, the body and the brain won't let you do that. And you do run out of reserve. And then it crumbles. And we have people suddenly saying, it's not that I don't want to, and it's not that I don't know it's important. I don't know. I know my job is writing on it. I cannot. Right. And so if you're there, you need to aggressively pull back. If you feel like, gosh, that sounds a little familiar, then please heed my advice. Make your priorities, make them for you, and realize the more that you rescue yourself, you will have energy to take care of others. You'll do a better job with your yes list because you'll have time and energy for it. You'll value it. It will make you happy and bring you joy because all the things that you're giving energy to are things that you want to have your energy. Even if my kids are burning me out, I want them to have my energy. I want them to have the good side of me. It drives me crazy when I burn myself out somewhere else and then I'm snapping at them. No, it should be the wrong way. That's the wrong way. It should be the other way. I should be able to give them the good energy and snap at some other person who's just, draining me. Okay. So my priorities, like I said, Nancy was friendlier and I am not, but I'm going to save you money, heartache, time, and health problems by telling you, please be aggressive. If you need to change your job or change your life or restructure something, you do it. Value yourself. All right. 8:40, 8:42. How'd I do?
Gina, where do I start? I feel like, was there a neon sign going, pointing here? You described me to the T. And so many of us in so many different ways. I'm sure there's a lot of head nodding going on. Our theme this year is designing and living a brilliant life, right? And you can't do that, to your point, if you're not taking care of yourself first and really managing your well-being. So thank you for those reminders and all those little areas, big areas, but those little things we can do to establish priorities and to really reduce that stress and to show up for ourselves and for others, to your point, in a more meaningful way.